Chapter 1 of Marcella. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Shibu. Marcella by Mrs. Humphry Ward. Chapter 1. The mists and the sun, and the first streaks of yellow in the beaches. Beautiful, beautiful. And with a long breath of delight, Marcella Boyce threw herself on her knees by the window she had just opened, and propping her face upon her hands, devoured the scene before her with that passionate intensity of pleasure which had been her gift and heritage through life. She looked out upon a broad and level lawn, smoothed by the care of centuries, flanked on either side by groups of old trees, some Scotch firs, some beeches, a cedar or two, groups where the slow selective hand of time had been at work for generations, developing her the delightful roundness of quiet mass and shade, and there the bold caprice of bare fir trunks and ragged branches, standing black against the sky. Beyond the lawn stretched a green descent indefinitely long, carrying the eye indeed almost to the limit of the view, and becoming from the lawn onwards a wide irregular avenue, bordered by beeches of a splendid maturity, ending at last in a far distant gap where a gate, and a gate of some importance, clearly should have been. It was not. The size of the trees, the wide uplands of the falling valley to the left of the avenue, now rich in the tints of harvest, the autumn sun pouring steadily through the vanishing mists, the green breadth of the vast lawn, the unbroken peace of wood and cultivated ground, all carried with them a confused general impression of well-being and of dignity. Marcella drew it in, this impression, with avidity. At the same moment she noticed involuntarily the gateless gap at the end of the avenue, the choked condition of the garden path on either side of the lawn, and the unsightly tufts of grass spotting the broad gravel terrace beneath her window. "It is a heavenly place, all said and done," she protested to herself with a little frown. "But no doubt it would have been better still if Uncle Robert had looked after it and we could afford to keep the garden decent still." She dropped on a stool beside the open window, and as her eyes steeped themselves fresh in what they saw, the frown disappeared again in the former look of glowing content, that content of youth which is never merely passive, nay, rather contains an invariable element of covetous eagerness. It was but 3 months or so since Marcella's father, Mr. Richard Boyce, had succeeded to the ownership of Mellor Park, the old home of the Boyces, and it was little more than 6 weeks since Marcella had received her summons home from the students' boarding house in Kensington, where she had been lately living. She had ardently wished to assist in the June settling in, having not been able to apply her mind to the music or painting she was supposed to be studying, nor indeed to any other subject whatever, since the news of their inheritance had reached her. But her mother, in a dry little note, had let it to be known that she preferred to manage the move for herself. Marcella had better go on with her studies as long as possible. Yet Marcella was here at last, and as she looked round her large bare room, with its old dilapidated furniture, and then out again to woods and lawns, it seemed to her that all was now well, and that her childhood with its squalors and miseries was blotted out.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?